Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking just for fun. A few weeks ago I made a whole bunch of twisty cane for a lost episode about making twisty cane, and I had a lot left over, and I thought it would be a lot of fun to cut them down into small pieces and add them in between layers of clear. This bead is all about getting lost in the process of adding color and swiping on clear. And in that process, I realized how much more potential this bead really had. So maybe some point in the future, I'll revisit this and bring you another version. With that said, let's get right into it. As always, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. Okay, so I am going to start this out by making sure that I have a nice clean bit of clear rod here. And that means cleaning the glass itself. And before I start, I want to make sure I pinch off the cut end so I don't have any kind of streaky areas in the glass. This is an 8mm clear rod I'm using, and it just makes the amount that I'm adding it just makes things go a little faster because I'm using more clear. So when I swipe this on or wrap it onto my mandrel, I am making sure that the mandrel itself is nice and hot right where I am adding my glass, so I don't get any bubbles in my in the clear here. Either way, once you have your clear glass on the mandrel, you'll roll it out a little bit. And then we're going to just start heating it up and picking up our twisties. So I just want to finish rounding it out. And now I'll go ahead and start I'm going to spot heat. And I realize right off the bat that when I just pick up a few here, I really need to have that glass a little hotter. Either way, once I pick up my color, I'll do it again right here, just take your time heating up the clear and immediately go into your little bits of twisties. And then whatever you pick up, you'll come back into the flame and just feather those bits of color a little bit, and then begin to secure them with your butter knife. Make sure that they're kind of flat up against the clear so nothing will break off later on. And then it's just a process of adding or heating the clear and adding as much color as you want. And I will go ahead and do this a few more times. And you definitely want to make sure you have quite a bit of clear showing through to get the effect of having a dimensional design. So I don't want to cover all the clear, just some of it. And once I have all my twisties on my first layer, I'll just go ahead and start heating and rolling it out. I want to get this ready to start to encase it. And I'm going to do several encasements on this bead. So if you are new or you haven't done a lot of encasements, hopefully this will help you out. When I do encasements, I like to use a thick rod of clear. This is an 8mm rod. Of course, if you don't have any thick clear rods on hand, use whatever clear you have. And there are a few different ways to encase your glass in clear. You can add a whole bunch of clear dots. You could wrap it, or you could swipe it on like I'm doing here. And I'm just getting a nice gather of clear hot, and then working from one end and swiping to the other end, making sure that when I swipe, my clear glass always stays in the flame and my bead is what's moving through the flame to get that layer on top of it. And as I'm adding these layers, I will make sure that I am overlapping each layer as I go. Okay, now once that's all done, I'll just make sure everything is secure and where it needs to be. And then I'll start heating and smoothing this all down. Now at this point, I want to add a whole bunch more of my little twisty bits. So I'll start to heat and just pick up some of those little bits of cane here and there. And on this second layer, You know, I realized it was more important to have less. Less is more when it comes to your second layer of picking these little twisty bits up. Of course, knowing me, I am a glutton for color, so I think I added a little bit more than I probably should have, but you know, it's neither here nor there. You just pick up the color and have fun making this bead. This bead is all about just having a good time and getting lost in the process of picking up color and swiping on clear. And I did have a good time making these. These were a lot of fun. Okay, so let's see. I think I'm going to pick up a few more, but for now, let's go ahead and just continue to secure these little bits onto the bead. This whole process took, I'm going to say, about a half an hour on this bead. And the reason why it took so long, even though it's a really simple design, is the amount of time that it takes to smooth and melt your pattern down. That is time consuming. So just be aware that if you think, gosh, I've really been spending a lot of time on this. When is it, you know, why isn't it melting? Well, it just takes time, you know, and this is where you want to enjoy the process of just watching the glass melt and rolling it out. It can be very soothing on the nerves. So I'm just going to be rolling this out a little bit. And as I was working on this part right here, well, especially when I was editing it, I realized how much more potential this bead had right here. I could have added my clear on at this point and had a much more dimensional bead instead of flattening everything out. I could have even added some frit. I could have added some color dots. There's just a whole bunch more you could do here. Either way, I'm just going to continue heating and rolling it out and getting ready for our final layers of clear. So let me speed things up a little bit for you. And just rolling everything out, making sure that the shape is exactly where you want it before you continue. And if you want to stop right here and just roll everything out, you'll get a really nice bead just as it looks there. Okay, let's go ahead and add our clear coat. Now this time the bead is a little bigger, and again, using a thicker rod of clear was really helpful for me here because I was able to gather up enough clear to make a full swipe. It's a little bit more difficult to do with a thinner rod. So I always recommend that you have a nice variety of sizes when you buy your clear glass. And again, we're just swiping on the whole thing. It doesn't have to be as perfect as the first series of swipes, but do try to get to the top all the way to the bottom and overlap as you go. All right, now we're just going to shape up these edges a little bit and give it a nice heating and smoothing before we add our final layers. Now right here my glass is really super hot all the way through, so I want to make sure that I'm just slowly rolling the glass on my graphite pad here. And that looks awesome. So one more layer of clear and we will be done. I do always, if you watch a lot of my videos, you'll notice that if I'm going for something very dimensional and I want my elements inside the bead to kind of pop into a dimensional form, I always add 2 layers of clear on the outside, because for some reason the thickness of the 2 layers of clear really helps to make everything become very dimensional. And on this last, section of swipes, you don't have to be as perfect. You can go from one edge to another. You don't have to swipe all the way from, the mandrel end. You can be a little bit more inward when you start and end your swipes. And then I'm just going to, roll that out just a little bit and get to my final shape. are just about done here. Just keep in mind that there's a lot more that you could do at this point. You could flatten it out. You could add more color if you want. There's just a lot of potential. So on that note, I'm going to finish this up just by giving it a little bit more heat on just the outside shell of it all. Roll it out and we will be done. And with that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this fun, simple process of adding layers to your bead. And that's it, guys. I will see you next time in the dungeon.